Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, hello, and first of all, thanks for having me here and inviting me to Istanbul, Turkey. This is my first time in Istanbul and in Turkey in general, so I'm glad to be here. And so far, I've been having a good trip, I've been having a good day, and hopefully I can keep up the high standard. I think I'm the youngest person who's been up here, so hopefully I still have something to share to you. But my name is Nordli Hansen. I'm working in a company in Copenhagen, Denmark, called DALUX. And I'm working as a BIM-FM specialist, meaning that in my normal job, I try to support my colleagues by implementing DALUX products, but I also try to educate and teach how to use BIM in a way that it adds value to the project, which is harder to do than to say. But here today I've been invited to talk about augmented reality, which is a technology that is included in all our products. It's actually a small part of our products, but we are pretty well known for it, also our BIM engine. But first, I would like to talk a little bit about DALUX. Probably some of you know it, probably some don't. But we are a Danish software developing company, and we develop software for the AEC industry and facility management. When I started less than 2 years ago, we were around 38 people in one country, and today we are 110 people in 9 different countries. So we are growing quite fast. What we are trying to do in DALUX is to be the leading BIM engine or BIM viewer, call it what you want, but we will try to be the best in handling BIM models. And so far today, we've been downloaded and used in more than 100 countries. And what we liked about this is that we are being used in countries where we have never visited. We have never done any marketing, but people download the application and actually use the BIM models. And what I'm talking about here is a free BIM viewer, which is a free product. I know some of you in here already have the app, but you can download the app and try to upload your BIM models and view them from your mobile phone. But mainly, our market is still in the European countries. That's where we have the big contractors and big building owners, which is our normal clients in DALUX. If I skip to the next one here, you can see the product line that we have today. Like I said, we are developing products for most of the phases within the construction industry and the facility management. And like I said, BIM and AR is a part of all these solutions. It's not a separate product. It's an included core functionality of all the products that we have. Usually, I'm working with the product called DALUX FM, and therefore I'm also working with the handover. So when I'm working with FM, I'm trying to teach and implement softwares that make it easier for people to maintain their buildings. And a big part of that is during the handover process. This is where we hand over information from construction into the facility management. And when we look at the total cost, life cycle cost of a building, facility management is the biggest cost, and therefore quite a big issue, not only in Denmark, but across the world. So what we're trying to do is to create a tool that makes it easier, but we're also trying to teach people to get the correct data to maintain their building in the best possible way. But I'm not here to talk about DALUX FM. That's what I'm usually working with. I'm here to talk about augmented reality. But first, I just want to talk shortly about how we do developing in DALUX. Because three things all our products have in common is these 3 points up here. And first off is BIM. BIM is the heart of the company. We want to be the best at doing BIM. So we have developed our own BIM viewer, integrated on both computer and mobile and tablets, so you can have it everywhere. But we don't want to have the best BIM viewer in the world if you have to be a BIM expert or a BIM manager to handle it. We want it to be user-friendly so everyone can use it. That's our main idea about developing this BIM engine. It has to be accessible and usable for everyone. So closely connected to that, we have the idea of being mobile. All our products are available on both computer, PC, and tablets. And I have to excuse myself here. I know there's a lot of high-level management in here, but our idea is that if we can save half an hour for the people on the floor, on site, we think in the end that will add more value than saving half an hour on top level. So that's why we want to move the BIM idea out from the office and out on site. And we try to do that by being user-friendly and mobile. So, a little bit about how we're actually doing this developing. In DALUX, we talk a lot about the term minimum viable product, which for us means that when we release a new product, it don't have to be the final perfect product. When we release a product, it has, of course, to live up to some basic criteria. It has to be functioning at a basic level. But the reason we do this is to get feedback. We want feedback from our clients. We want feedback from the organizations within the AEC industry so we can improve the product slowly. And I think today we are, like I said, around 110 people. And I think out of those 110, maybe 2 or 3 has actually worked on a real construction site. So we really do need input from the real world, as we call it. So when we're releasing a product, we usually call it a skateboard, just to use a picture word. Because the skateboard can get you from A to B. Maybe not in the most efficient way, but it will do the job. And if we get the feedback from our clients, we can slowly improve the product, so hopefully one day it will turn into a car. And that way of thinking is actually also how we developed our AR, which I will return to in just a moment. So, those of you who are not familiar with AR or augmented reality, it's a technology that makes it possible to combine the real physical world, as we're in right now, with computer-generated graphics. So for the construction industry, that means combining the real world that we're in with, for example, BIM models. So we can see what we are going to build when we're inside the construction site. For facility management, it makes it possible to actually view objects under the ceiling. Usually, if I wanted to see or get information about some of the lighting fixtures up here, I would need a lift. But with AI, I can both remove the ceiling, I can look above the ceiling, and I can also click on objects and see documents, task history, and so on. So that is also what we're using in DALUX. We want to bring out the BIM models on the construction side, so we're able to see what we're going to build, and in facility management, what we already have built. So, as you probably know, today we actually have augmented reality in DALUX, but it was a difficult journey. Back in 2016, Microsoft announced the HoloLens, which is a pair of glasses you can put on, and it can actually make the BIM models viewing in front of you in the physical world. So, of course, our CTO found it obvious that we should use this technology because we already had the BIM models and the BIM engine, and combine those two and make augmented reality. So we did that. Actually, shortly after we had a proof of concept ready, we were able to put on the glasses and show augmented reality to our clients. But we had 2 big issues. One of them really, really big. But the first one was that the HoloLens is quite expensive. I don't know the price today, but I think it's around 3,000 euros. So I didn't want to be the guy bombing into a column, going up to my boss and said that I broke a pair of HoloLenses. They are expensive. But the biggest problem is that you can't wear a helmet when you're wearing the HoloLens. And this is a good example of why we need feedback from our customers. Because we have tested it in our lab, in our office, without a helmet, but when the product was finished, we went out to the construction site, and we found out that you couldn't wear a helmet. I'm not familiar with the rules here in Turkey, but in Denmark you need to wear a helmet when you're on the construction site. Probably the same thing here. But luckily, shortly after that, Google announced the Google Tango technology. And first of all, it could do the same thing. It could visualize computer-generated graphics in the real world. But another good thing about it, it was a mobile solution. So they made a technology that was supported by a lot of phones, and we could implement our BIM models into that, which we did. But as you can see up here on the screen, there weren't that many users of the Google Tango technology. It was supported by some Samsung phones and Asus phones and so on, but there weren't really that many users, and really not much we could do about it. But probably the biggest issue was that the 1st of March, Google stopped supporting Google Tango. So once again, we had developed a product. This time we could call it our bike, but it wasn't supported, so we actually didn't have a product. But we got a lot of good feedback, and we went back to the office and we tried to rewrite the code, all the algorithms, and so on. But luckily, once again, Google, this time with Apple, introduced the AR Core for Android and the AR Kit for iOS Apple. So once again, we had two technologies that were supported by mobile phones, but not just some specific mobile phones, actually everyday normal smartphones like your iPhones and Samsungs and so on, which was a perfect fit for what we want to do because we want to be mobile. We want to have our technology on mobile phones. So we could do that with the AR kit and AR core. So we finally had our product. And this short video here is from our office in Copenhagen, where we tested it. We had a big renovation, so why not use our own software? And what you can see here is that we are having the physical world, and through the phone we are able to see the BIM model. So we can actually see where all the ventilation tunnels are placed, and we can see what we are going to build. So this is the combination between the BIM model and the physical world on a mobile phone. That was quite big news, we found out, because we got all over the news, not just in Denmark, but also in international medias, for being one of the first to actually bring augmented reality to the mobile phone in a user-friendly way. So that was a lot of good free marketing we got there, and a lot of interest from outside Denmark, especially. But still, what we needed was once again the feedback from the customers. The customers' feedback is how we are developing in DALUX, so we needed that. One of the first ones to actually test it out is a contractor from Denmark called Sublime. They used it as a test on one of their projects, and what they're showing here in the video is the interior design on a construction site. So here we can actually see where all the tables, chairs, doors, technical equipment, and so on is going to be placed. And more important, they can actually see if there's going to be room for it. So in just a moment, he will also highlight how you can actually click on a given object inside the model, and you are able to remove that object to also see what's underneath the ceiling, for example. So here we have the technical equipment. Here we have the ceiling. And when you click on it, you can actually use it. So in this case, you can hide it, and you can then see the installations underneath the ceiling, inside the physical world, through your tablet or mobile phone. The next case I have here is on a real project. They were using it on the project as a tool. And it is Felix O'Hara, an Irish contractor. Today they have a company deal, meaning that they can use DALUX products on all their projects across the world. In this project, they used the AR, trying to improve the way they were working. And we got some feedback from them. And what we liked about the feedback, I highlighted it up here, was the smooth transition. They were already used to working with BIM models and all of that. So for them to walk from their normal workflows into a DALUX workflow wasn't that hard, because they know how to handle BIM models and they know the ways of thinking about BIM. So in the end, what they ended up with was that they got better processes and better workflows, and in the end also better communication with all their external suppliers, contractors, engineers, and architects, because they could do everything on site and send tasks directly to them. The next one here is from a Swiss company called Techne SA. They are a project management company doing project management for building owners. In this video right here, they were actually going on a virtual tour inside the building after the raw construction was completed. What they needed to do was to make sure that all the concrete was put in the right place and that there was room for all the technical installations before they actually started that part of the building. So if they found anything that wasn't placed correctly or dimensioned correctly, they created tasks directly on site and sent it to the contractor with both the 2D placement, the 3D object, and the AR, so they could both see what they have built and what they were actually supposed to be building. So because the contractors are also inside the system, they could send them a task asking them to actually fix this issue with the right information from their phone on site. The last one here is one of my favorites, also one of my customers. It's the airport of Copenhagen. They are also using DALUX. They're both using it for facility management and for a big renovation project they have right now. In the facility management, what they're using it for is the same example I gave before. You probably know airports are quite big and complex buildings, and usually you have high ceilings like in here. And the issue for them is every time they need information or they need to do some kind of getting information from an object in the ceiling. They need to close out an area of the airport, and they need to bring in a lift. But now, because they have the BIM model, they have attached documents to the important assets in the building. They can click on the object, get task history, maintaining manuals, and so on, so they can have easy access to the information important to maintaining the building. The example you're seeing on the other picture is actually the guy working in Copenhagen Airport. It's their BIM manager. And what they're doing here is quite a cool way to use AR. They are doing a testing of the wayfinding inside the airport, which is a big issue for airports because, once again, airports are pretty complex. You need to find your way around, so signs are really, really important. So what they did, they had the models with all the signs, and they used the AR to actually go, like a normal customer, inside the building to see if the signs were placed correctly. Maybe they were too high, they were too low. If they were too high or too low, once again, they could create a task and send it to the contractor, asking them to fix this, because they could actually see what they were about to build before they built it, and they could experience what the customer would experience through the AR. So to try to sum up some of these cases, I think the main points are pretty common for all of them. All of the cases right here were pretty experienced with using BIM. They knew the ways around BIM. They already had BIM models, but they wanted to make better use of them. In other words, they wanted to take the BIM models from the office out on site, where the normal building workers, the project managers, could actually use them in a better way. And the reason for that is that they wanted to improve their processes. They were used to going from site to the office, from the office back to the site several times a day to get documents, to print out new documents, to look at the computer, and so on, which was a big waste of time and also a big issue in the industry. And in the end, hopefully, the goal was also to improve the communication, because they were used to doing either Excel spreadsheets or writing down on their notebook, and then write an email or call by phone to the contractor or the engineer. But now they could actually do the registration directly on the site with the documentation needed to actually fix the issue, because they have the 2D, they have the 3D, and they also have the augmented reality. So it actually helped them into doing better communication with all their partners within the project. And earlier today, I was up in the other room listening to some people involved with the Building Smart, and it got me thinking that I wanted to add something to this presentation. Because you have to remember, even though I like DALUX, of course I do, DALUX and all these products, they are just tools to try to work in a better way. But like any other tool, you have to know how to use it to actually add value to any given project. And the way you find out how to use these tools here is to have a plan, a strategy for how you're going to work with BIM. So therefore, today we have specifications, we have requirements, we have workflows that we can set up regarding our BIM strategy. And luckily, we have organizations like Building Smart, ISO standards, and so on, that have actually done these manuals for us. And also, we need a common language, which they also supply for us. So it's important to keep in mind that these are tools, and these tools actually do support these standards. But it is actually up to you to remember to use the standards. It's not a part of the system, we support it, but it is up to you to have a plan and a strategy of how you're going to work with BIM. Because if not, it's just another tool in the box, and it will not really add any value. It's not that good a product that we can just put it into a project and it will fix everything. You still need to think, you still need to have a plan of how you're going to work with all of these tools. So, that's what I had to say. I have 1 minute left, but I really don't have any more things to say. I just want to once again say thank you for inviting me here and giving me time to speak on this beautiful stage in front of so many people. So thank you.